Welcome to lesson 1.2. In this lesson, we're going to cover a lot of basics. So there's a lot in here, but we'll just go one at a time and we'll be great. So we're going to start by going over a little bit more with functions like we talked about in 1.1, but this time we're going to be interpreting these functions. Now, I think one of the most important things for you to know is this sentence right here. There are always limitations to a math model. Any mathematical model that you create is going to have limitations, meaning it's not going to fit a perfect real-world scenario. The real world's going to break your math model at some point. So that's why it's so important to be able to interpret your math models so you can figure out what interpretations make sense and when those interpretations don't make sense, meaning your model doesn't work there. So we're going to take this model right here. We have a rocket that's been shot off the ground. This is the height in feet. Let's see, t seconds after liftoff. So that means our t right here is time. So however many seconds after liftoff, we plug that seconds into this equation, and that gives us the height of our rocket. Now you'll notice that when t is greater than 20 seconds, the height of our rocket is always 0 feet. Now this should make sense because a rocket is going to lift off and then come back to the ground and stay on the ground. No matter where it was shot from, it's going to hit the ground at some point and stay there. So that's what this 0 is. It's saying that right here is our 20 seconds, and from then on, it's always going to be at 0 feet on the ground. So this model should make sense. We're good so far. So we're going to start by finding and interpreting two different things. We want h of 10 and h of 60. So that 10 and that 60, those are both times, t's, inside the parentheses. So we want at 10 seconds and at 60 seconds. So we're going to plug them into the piece of the problem where it fits. So this 10 seconds, that fits between 0 and 20. So because that 10 is between 0 and 20, I'm going to use that equation for it. And just like we did last lesson, anytime I see a variable, I'm going to put empty parentheses and then fill that variable with my time, my number that I'm plugging in. So if we were to simplify this all out, plug it into your calculator, we would get an answer of 500. Now we do need to interpret that. So that answer, that's an h. So this is 500 feet. And it's the height of the rocket after 10 seconds of time. H of 10 equals 500. So that means we're at 500 feet, 10 seconds after launch. So now we'll go to 60. 60 is greater than 20. So we're going to put it into this equation, the 0. Meaning, since 60 is after 20 seconds, the height of the rocket is 0 feet because it's already hit the ground and it stayed there. So 0 feet after 60 seconds. So we found the answers and we interpret them in terms of the situation, what's going on. Let's do a different one. H of t equals 375. We talked about this last time, that if it equals, that means I need to set the equation equal to that number. Now some of you might say, hey, Mrs. Johnson, I have two equations here. Which one do I set it equal to? Well, typically with piecewise functions, you want to set every single part of your piecewise function equal to that number. So if your piecewise has 3 or 4 parts, set each part equal to that number. Now, we can immediately go here and be like, 0 equals 375. Not going to happen. That does not make any sense, and take that one out. Now, if both of them were actual equations, and this was an equation equals 375, then we could solve that. So we only got one option here. Look at that. It's a quadratic. We know what to do with quadratics. We talked about that last lesson. Anytime we see a quadratic, we bring everything to one side. So it's equal to 0, and then we factor. Now, I'm going to notice that all of these things have a -5 in common. So I'm going to take that out first, just to make my factoring a little easier. And remember, when I say take out, I mean divide. So -5t squared divided by -5 is a t squared. 100t divided by -5 is a -22. And -375 divided by -5 is 75. And now, it's a little easier to factor this. I need something that adds to 75. Oh no, multiplies to 75, there we go, and adds to -20. You think about that a little bit, and we get -5 and -15. That multiplies to 75 and adds to -20. Now, just like we always do with quadratics, set them both equal to 0 and solve. Get our answer is at 5 and 15. Now, once again, we need to interpret our answers. So we know that these are t answers, which means these are time answers. So we have, let's do that in black, at 5 seconds and 15 seconds. That's what we're talking about. So what is going on at 5 seconds and 15 seconds? Well, we set this whole equation equal to 375, meaning that h equals 375. H is height. So at 5 seconds and 15 seconds, the height is 375 feet. So there we go. That's our interpretation, and we are done. So there's an example of our piecewise function. There's an example of finding and interpreting. In the next video, we're going to talk about another big basic, which is our parent functions, which will be super important through the rest of this year.